Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. Celtic are finally back tomorrow, and we're here to look ahead to that game against Aberdeen and, of course, do the starting 11 prediction. Here we go. Yes, folks, welcome back. First things first, it's a wee bit warmer in the studio tonight. I've managed to plan a wee bit better. The heater's been on for ages, so it doesn't look like my cup of tea's a smoke machine as it did the other night. Only when I watched the video back did I see how ridiculous it looked. But we're in much better shape tonight for this one. It is the starting 11 prediction. It's finally back. Celtic are finally back. Can't wait to get back into it tomorrow. A massive game for us. Returning from that World Cup break away at Pittodrie, where, to be fair, we've got a great record, but Aberdeen, currently sitting third in the table, are having a decent season. Jim Goodwin has made vast improvements from where they were when he took over during last season. So I think they're much stronger and they're a different proposition this season, Aberdeen, than they were last. But it looks like we're in good shape in terms of the squad, not missing too many players. And listen, if we can pick up the form from that first part of the season, we'll be in really, really good stead going forward. Obviously, only that one blip on the record so far, that defeat at St Mirren, but apart from that, the team have been absolutely flawless in terms of results, and I expect that to continue if we can maintain that performance level that we've shown in that first part of the season. Of course, going forward, there's no Champions League football. The fixture congestion doesn't really get much better though. We knew it was a mess, the fixture calendar this season, because of the World Cup. So there is 2 and 3 games a week for most of the rest of the season, to be fair, but no European football and trips abroad to contend with for the players. So that should stand us in good stead. And again, what the manager did really well in that first part of the season was rotate the squad. The squad's a lot stronger this season. You could see that play out in that first part of the season. He was making 4 and 5 changes game to game. And other than that game at St Mirren, it really didn't cause us any problems at all. Touching on that record against Aberdeen, we are unbeaten in our last 18 meetings against them. I think that trophy day they won back in May 2018 is the last time they managed to beat us when Rodgers was the manager. We've got a great record up at Pittodrie as well. A big win there last season, if you remember. That seemed like the turning point after that really poor start we had. It was a late Jota winner that got us the points that day. And he loves playing against Aberdeen. He's got 5 goals in 4 league matches against them, and I expect him to be integral for us tomorrow. So without further ado, we will get to the team. That's what we're here for. We'll start in goals as we always do with number 1, Joe Hart. He'll definitely resume his position there. Me and Kenny did talk about in that transfer show a couple of weeks back how Celtic will plan going forward and how many more seasons we'll get out of Joe Hart. He's been excellent since he's came to the club though, and I don't think there's going to be any change in that position. It's just something that's been in my mind, thinking about the club getting better at forward planning in terms of recruitment and what the plans will be for the goalkeeping position in years to come. But anyway, right back tomorrow, Anthony Ralston. Juranovic still at the World Cup. I think he did pick up a slight knock in that semi-final against Argentina. I don't think he's going to take any part in the third place game tomorrow against Morocco. Johnston isn't available yet. Ralston is technically the only out and out right back we've got, so he'll definitely start in that position tomorrow. I think Carter Vickers will come back in, and that's a huge boost for us. I suppose there was a wee bit of uncertainty with the guys that had come back from the World Cup about how soon they would be ready and available. They all had a week off though. Ange covered this in the press conference today. They had a week off after the World Cup and they're all fit and available. And Carter Vickers is the most important player out of those guys that went to the World Cup. He's so key to this Celtic team, as we've seen when we had a period without him earlier in the season. I think Starfelt will partner him at centre back. Starfelt did play in that bounce game against Rennes last week. He really needs to get a win of games though, because he's not been able to get that at any stage of this season. Really disrupted by injury. Just when he recovered and he played that game against Rangers, the 4-0 game at Celtic Park, picked up another injury. Then he was out for a couple of months again. So for him to build up momentum, build up sharpness, and to be honest, to iron out any errors, I think Starfelt looks most vulnerable when he's not had a run of games and he looks a wee bit rusty. So it's really important for him to get a run of games now, get a run of fitness and get up to full speed, because as I say, week in and week out, that partnership is the best for us going forward. Greg Taylor will be at left back. And in midfield, it'll be the return of the Celtic captain, Callum McGregor. What a massive boost that is for us. O'Reilly deputised really well for him throughout that period that he was injured. I did think that it didn't get the best out of O'Reilly, but I think he adapted well. He's at an early stage in his career, and to take on that mantle of replacing the Celtic captain and playing that deeper position when it's maybe not what he's been used to at the club, I think he did really, really well over the course. But to have McGregor back in there makes us much, much stronger, and that'll allow Matt O'Reilly to go one up again, and Hatate will play alongside him, and I think that is the natural first choice midfield three, and I think they'll be together again in there tomorrow. I think Hatate, along with O'Reilly, one of our best performers in that first part of the season, really stood up, really took responsibility. You can tell that he's maturing as a Celtic player, as a Celtic midfielder, taking on a lot of responsibility. He has been the player that's been the catalyst in a lot of close games for us to go and win it. That game against Ross County, the last time out, was the most clear example of that. He took the game by the scruff of the neck, turned it around for us, was absolutely integral. And I expect that growth to continue as we go through this season. So much competition for places in the front three. I'm going to go with Player of the Month for November, Sead Haksabanovic on the right hand side. I'm going to go for Jota. Obviously, top man, one of the best players so far this season, but he did have that injury layoff just before we finished up for the World Cup a couple of games back. Important for him to get a good run now and get back up to full speed. But as I say, he's got a great record against Aberdeen with those 5 goals in 4 league games against them, and you'd expect him to torment Aberdeen's defence tomorrow again if he's in top form. And through the middle, I'm going to go with Kyogo. He had a good performance at Pittodrie in that first game last season. Scored a really good goal. I think he's obviously had most of the starts as well, to be fair. He's had 17 so far. Giakoumakis has had 7. We covered that during the break. A lot of speculation around the future of Giakoumakis. Talk about agent changes and murmurings about potential moves away from the club. I think Kyogo will lead the line tomorrow. I don't expect Giakoumakis to go anywhere in January, but I think the more that these rumours gather pace and don't go away, there's usually something to it. But I think for now, Giakoumakis still got plenty to offer, as I said last week, and we'll see him at some point in this game off the bench if he doesn't start. So there you go. That is the lineup I think Ange will go with for the first game back at Pittodrie tomorrow. You can let me know who you think will start in the comment section below. Like this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you tomorrow with all of the full-time reaction after the game. Cheers.